If you're listening on podcast, be sure to tune into Wild and Weird West Virginia for additional content on our YouTube channel.
Welcome to Wild and Weird Radio, a Wild and Weird West Virginia podcast. Welcome back to Wild and Weird Radio for yet another year in review. We've got a fun one.
Review. You believe that? It's
this,
crazy.
Yeah, it feels like we just did the year in review for last year, and here we are doing it again. I mean, it's just this year's kind of been a blur.
It really has. It's time travel.
Yeah, right. So, you know, as with every year in review, we've got tons of memories that we're going to share with you guys. We've got a bunch of updates for the coming year. But one of the things that we always do towards the end of the wrap up is our predictions and where we see things going in the future. And that is that's one of my favorite parts of the year in review, is the speculation portion, where we kind of let it cut wild and see where we can go.
I've got a crystal ball down here. I can pull it out. We can tap right into it.
Yeah,
that's what I'll do.
That's what we'll do. We'll scray on the crystal ball.
Yeah.
So last year started out just UFO heavy.
Yeah.
I feel like every episode that we recorded, and this being a weekly episode series, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're not a monthly series. You guys all listen to us week in, week out. I feel like every episode had at least one UFO news article that wasn't just a sighting report or anything.
Yeah.
It was actually relevant news having to do with either the government or a new official event that's taking place or some form of disclosed information.
It was a very big year. It was a massive year for ufology. And yeah, you're right. I know that almost every single, just about every single episode of the news that we did, there was a UFO related story in there. I'm pretty sure. We would go back and listen to it, but I'm pretty sure that you're going to find UFOs in just about every one of those.
Yeah. And it's like it got to the point where it was just like, well, here we go again, guys. Here's another one.
Yep.
Here's another. And it was always these like late Friday night releases.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so by the time, like, you know, by the time you guys listened to it, it was kind of already out there and about. But we record on Sunday nights, and a lot of this UFO stuff wasn't being released on the mainline news. It was just being released at like Friday around 11 p.m. An article drops saying here's the minutes of what took place, and it shows up in there, and then you dig more into it and you find people who actually wrote articles about it. So by the time we were recording on Sunday, you know, we had it was hot in our hands, trying to get that out there and sent out for all you guys to listen to and hear both the news and our thoughts on what was taking place.
Yeah, there was a couple of times, Joe, you remember that we covered the news and it changed literally before it aired. And I had to actually go back and edit a couple of those. And the ones I couldn't edit, I actually put in like words, I believe, and said, you know, this was redacted or something like that. But yeah, these things, it happened. I mean, it happened fast, a lot of those stories.
And the best parts were the redacted portions of the stories where it wasn't that they were incorrect. But that those portions weren't supposed to be released. And And because we were catching them so quick, before the Monday morning rush there on the Hill, where everybody and all the analysts are looking at everything again, we were capturing what before that, and we were able to run that news kind of unfiltered for the most part, even though it was heavily regulated at that point. Still, it was less filtered because they did go back and redact portions. Some of it was because people would misspeak,
right?
But there were several that were like, oh well, they took this out. They said that wasn't supposed to be said.
Yeah, there was a couple of those. There was one where I believe the Navy had released something, and it said that it was never supposed to have been released. That happened, and we did get those documents before they disappeared, which was great. But they're kind of pointless. I mean, they were just the documents that showed, I believe, the track of the objects or the drones that were over the Princeton in that incident, and flew over the deck and whatnot. And I think the Snoopy teams went out, and it was all that data, but it was never supposed to be released. I mean, we know it exists. Why is it secret? I mean, we know it's there. It's just nonsense. One of the other ones was the with the famous patch, and I remember I was on vacation when this happened, and I think Brandon sent me a picture of it, and I sent it to you, and I was like, "Is this real?" And I'm in the mountains. There's hardly any service, and I'm waiting like throughout the day to figure out if this thing's real. And we come back into service, and I get the message, "Yeah, it's real." And come to find out, it was real. That was in September. And that was interesting because that was the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. It was a design, apparently, we find out later, that someone just made this thing. And someone thought it was a great idea to throw it on the actual page. Caused a firestorm because, it's got all these planes on it. It's got like a Russian fighter on it. It's got a drone on it. It's got some swept back Delta type looking craft there, fighter. Some say that's a Russian craft, by the way. What's really funny is here it is flying over top the U.S. And the other one is what appears to be a Delta winged craft at the top, but the one that really gets it, the one that really makes you say is off to the left. There's this flying saucer.
Bottom left corner, there's a flying saucer.
Yeah. So they were not too amused about that, and from what I understand, and that was very much redacted, and it actually was redacted before our story got out. And that was one of the cases where I had to go in and actually say, yep, well, this has been changed already. So if you're watching the YouTube, sometimes it'll make a little bit more sense to you because you'll actually see that, like, hey, I don't know, is this story still legit? I don't know. Let's go see if Ron put any headers up there and says it's been redacted by now.
Yeah.
So, but that happened.
Then, over the summer, we had the very first UFO congressional hearing in 50 years.
Man, that was a big one. And we did a special report.
We did.
With that.
We ran a special episode. It was me, you, and Dave, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was.
And we sat and watched it. We Mystery Science Theatered it.
We did. We sure did. We did a play-by-play on that thing. And we discovered things that the press would eventually discover and bring to note as well. Notably, some of the how the questions of the nuclear base flyovers were taking place. That
was the most notable thing for me. That was. I'm so glad that he grabbed a hold of that and ran with it.
Yep. So that's a really good episode, by the way. If anyone hasn't actually looked at that, that's a great one. I'll put the link in this episode, and you can go down and click on that, and it'll take you over to it. And by the way, it's a good time. You guys, I want to say thank you so much for subscribing because this is another big thing this year, right?
Because we're new on YouTube. This is our first year being on here. I mean, forever ago, we started doing video on Facebook, and then we moved to Wild and Weird Radio, which was the podcast format rather than the live videos and stuff for Facebook. Now we're moving back into some video as well as keeping the podcast rolling. And it's been fun. It's been really great seeing the community grow and watching some of the folks cross over who are listening and watching, and all the new folks that we get that come in that are joining up with us and listening and subscribing and watching the content that keeps dripping out. I mean, it's we can't thank you enough.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And one of the great things about it is, it's not just the podcast. I mean, that's the thing. The YouTube is not just a podcast. You'll get to see the podcast. Yes, you can watch us and so forth. But there's also original content there. Where you have our investigations. We have the new series that we just came up with, which incidentally we'll talk about later. But episode 1 just aired and it's doing very well. But back in the news. So anyway, thank you guys. So back in the actual news, we had some other things that happened, and lo and behold, again, one could say aliens, but I don't really want to say that. One of the big things was that the mysterious wow signal's origin was found.
Yeah, that was a trip. When the origin of this signal that had been so elusive for, what was it, about 30 years?
It was discovered in 1977. Yeah.
It had eluded us. The location of this has eluded us, but then we finally honed in on it. We were able to use triangulation methods to find out where the signal came from.
We have way better technology now. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Well, do you remember the very first Bigfoot hoax video that you, myself, and Wayne beat the squatch out of on the radio show that came out of Salt Fork, Ohio?
Oh, man. Yeah, I remember that.
So that was from 2020, and it is back. It came back yesterday. Some news site picked it up and ran it like it was brand new.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah, man.
You're kidding me.
Ran it like it was brand new. Information was legit, because that video bounced around a lot. It got said it was in Virginia, then Kentucky, but it was originally recorded by an outdoors business. Like they're like an outfitter, and they do this kind of hoax and parody kind of stuff all the time. And they did this because I guess 2020 business was slumping. They needed to boost their internet sites. Yeah. So here we go. Let's go hoax a Bigfoot out in Salt Fork, and they did. Okay. And poorly. Okay. And it's not really like they were really trying. Like they had a guy out in like dark clothes, but and had some coveralls on, and you could actually see the pockets, and you could see his wallet in his back pocket at one point because it was like sticking out a little bit. Well, they ran it again, and a bunch of these Bigfoot Facebook groups are just covered up in it. And I went over and commented on one of them, and I said, guys, this is old news, and we busted this forever ago. Like it was 30 minutes out of the gate, and we got a hold of it and blew it apart. We were the first ones on the set to get a hold of it and rip it to shreds. And had it been real evidence, that'd been one thing. But this is absolute garbage. It's not even close to being good. And somebody actually challenged me, said, well, this is new. How do you know you've already debunked this back in 2020? And I just shared a link from the website to the write-up we did on it. And I said, here you go. Tell me it's not the same video.
Yeah. I mean, this happens all too often. We actually had that happen once again earlier this year, too.
We did.
One of our cases. And I think we did finally shut that one up and put it to rest.
We did, because that was the incident that took place up in Elkview, and it was a poacher.
Yeah, that's right. It's actually a full write-up on the webpage. If anybody wants to go look at it, be my guest.
And it just
this happens.
It does.
It happens. And
like I said, if it's good evidence, if it's good, or even like if it's questionable, like if we can zoom in on it and we can't see seam lines, we can't see pockets, which we definitely could in this one. Yeah. And it wasn't like a weird hoodie
or an LED indicator light.
Yeah, or LED indicator light. I mean,
I'm just saying,
then we'll leave it alone. We'll just say, yeah, that's intriguing.
Questionable. Yeah.
That's there's worth some research and work putting him behind it to look at it. But man, some of these are just bad.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think because we shoot things down so fast that we're just hardened skeptics. We're not. It's that we've seen so much of it. We can look at a pattern and see it. And believe me, even if we call it, we're still going to double check ourselves.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, you know, again, to be in this field, like to genuinely be in this field, not just as a hobby or as a just a member of the community, someone who looks from the outside in. If you're going to be a legitimate, active member that is doing the work, you have to be skeptical of everything.
Everything.
I mean,
everything.
You know, I love some of the members of the collective to death, like their family. But there's certain things that when they get presented, you know, we're skeptical of it. And vice versa. When I send them pictures of things like, what do you think of this? Oh, I don't know. You know?
Yeah, we all do it. We all
like
pick
Dave,
apart each other.
I love Dave Roberts because every time I send him anything, it doesn't matter. Like I could send him a picture of like me getting ready to stuff a marshmallow into Bigfoot's mouth and have the lip pulled up. And he would be like, I don't know, man. Were you really close enough to know that wasn't a suit?
Yeah.
But that's good. It's healthy. We should, as real researchers, be extremely skeptical of everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until we can rule out the possibilities of anything else, then it can't legitimately be the subject that we're looking for.
100% agree with you. And, you know, there was an article today, at least I think it was from today. No, it was today. Kidding. It was actually today. It was about Jacques Valet. And one of the things,
I saw this. This was great.
Yeah. And one of the things he had said in the article was he doesn't know what UFOs are. Boy, that sounds familiar.
It does.
And yet, you know, it's the same thing we get because, you know, you run into the believers who are like, oh, well, I know what they are. How do you know what they are?
That's the mothership from Zartan, and Commander Zorpazorp is coming through. Can you not see him? He's right there.
No. And, you know, that's the whole thing. I mean, and some of the comments were like, oh, well, he knows what it is. Well, you know what? He might think he knows what it is. And I think that's the whole point. We all think we know what something is, but we don't know.
It's how, well, even though we think we know, we might think we know, we might have our good ideas. How we present that to the public is completely different. Like today, for example, first day of the year, you know, making sure I keep things toxic. Gotta stay consistent.
Yeah.
I'm on one of the Bigfoot pages, of course, as I do. And I'm on there and there's these people, one of the questions get asked, the age-old question, what makes someone an expert in Bigfoot? And they were legitimately asking, like, nobody's ever found one, so why do we consider these people experts in Bigfoot?
Yeah.
And I said, simple, quick answer, there are no experts.
Yep.
There are professionals in their fields that have their own guesses, but there
in their
are
own
no
expertise.
experts.
In their own expertise.
Yes, in their general field. Yeah, like they have their professionals in their field of study. They have their theories. But those theories are just that until we have one on a slab that we can dissect. And so I just said, short answer, there are no experts. Until we have one that we can study, a holotype, there are no experts.
Yeah.
And would you believe that the true believers came at me like, who are you? And this is leading into the next bit. You better believe it, because I totally shared it. I shared the link and I said, this is who I am. Look me up. And anyway, they were coming at me with pitchforks. It's like, how long have you been on boots? And how much time have you spent in the forest? How much this? How much that? How do you know that you're doing whatever you know to do? And I was like, you seriously must not be like really active in the community. Otherwise you would know me and my research team that I'm a part of. And because, and I'm not tooting my own horn. I mean, I am kind of tooting our horn really hard because what's coming up next, but I shared links to all of our research. I shared links to the forum. I shared links to the this to our YouTube page. I posted pictures of our TrackCast collection, all laid out in a row from a documentary that we were in. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, some news for our listeners. If you're not friends with Ron or I on Facebook, in case you didn't know,
you really need to be.
The West, you do, yeah. We respond to the requests as long as like you have a picture in your Facebook profile. We will say, yeah, sure, why not? But if you're not friends with us on Facebook and you don't know the latest news, the West Virginia High Strangeness Collective is officially the BigfootForums.com Bigfoot Research Team of the Year. This was a 2-year research year span because 2021 was kind of it was a weird year. They didn't run the contest in 2021, so it was 2021 and 2022 put together. And all of the research data that we put together, we were declared yesterday, which was the officially, well, actually it was this morning. Today's the first of the year. Today's New Year's Day. This morning at 2 a.m., I was sent the message verifying and declaring that West Virginia High Strangeness Collective is the Bigfoot Research Team of the Year for the Bigfoot Forums, which is a huge forum, big major platform. It was one of the original Bigfoot research platforms that existed back on Angel Fire, and it's where I actually went after I had my sighting to start looking at data to see, like, did I see a Bigfoot? So this is something that I went to, visited back in 2001, and this forum is still strong and going, and here we are.
Yeah, it was a really big news.
Researchers of the Year.
Go ahead. Play that up, because that's good. I mean, I'd like to thank everybody who.
Well, the next response I got was priceless. One of the guys that was the most angry pitchforker, he said, "Well, that's fine. You have your opinions, and I respect your work. I'll go my way, and you go yours, brother."
That's the best way to do it.
And I responded back to him. I said, why couldn't you have been that cordial in your first engagement?
Yeah, right. But Joe, that's the problem. And that's why there's so much animosity in these groups.
Yeah, it is.
Because someone sits up on a high throne and looks down at everybody else. I mean, okay, so we're Bigfooters of the Year. All right, that's awesome. But am I going to like sit up here and tell you that your research is invalid because it contradicts something I said, or, doesn't jive up with what I've got? No, I'm going to look at your research and see how this might work for the data I've collected.
How it pairs up with what we've got, what correlates, what kind of connections can be made.
Yes. And if it's there, I'm going to get back a hold of you, back in touch with you and say, hey, have you considered this? And that's a true story. That's happened multiple times.
Well, it's actually happening right now. There is an account that Bobo actually sent me. He sent me the guy's contact info, and we've been chatting. I'm actually calling him tomorrow. We're going to do the phone interview tomorrow on January 2nd. And he's having some without knowing, because some of the stuff is like stuff we've never talked about really publicly.
Yeah. We don't do that right now.
There's some of the data, some of the experiences that he is having that really line up with some of the stuff we've had take place. And not just that, he's had other strange experiences, Ron.
Doesn't surprise me.
Not just Bigfoot related. Now, he's not having them in the same area where he had the other experiences, like was back when he was, working somewhere and he was off, like out of town, but still he had weird experiences.
Yeah.
And so this falls into our category of weird magnets.
Well, like I said, that's why it's called the West Virginia High Strangeness Collective, because it is high strangeness. It's not just one thing. I didn't want us to go out there and look for just Bigfoot,
right,
or cryptids or UFOs.
We wanted to be a multidisciplinary team,
because I honestly believe that a lot of this stuff is related in some way or fashion. Maybe not all of it, but I do believe that there's something there. There
does seem to be some kind of connecting web.
Yep. It doesn't mean
what that is, I don't know.
No idea.
There does seem to be, if you've experienced one of these things, then you're experiencing others. It's kind of like the old Ghostbusters hotline. Have you experienced this, and this? Does your cousin or so-and-so have this going on? And like, there's a reason for that. That idea of connected and interlocking phenomena has been around for a long time. It's not a new theory.
It's not.
But there seems to be something to it. What that is, I have no idea.
Yeah, we don't know.
Guess yet.
But it almost seems like there's a glue there, doesn't it? That holds it all together.
Because a lot of these people, including myself now at this point, have experienced various. Now, me personally, I have to say that mine might not be because I'm a magnet. It might be because I'm putting myself in the place to have the experience.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I'm there looking for something, so something happens. I don't know.
Well, maybe. Yeah, that's kind of the law of attraction. I mean, if we look at it like, and there's no reason not to look at it like that, by the way. I know that a lot of people, there's that woo talk. No, it's not. It's not woo talk. If you go into science, you go into quantum physics, you go into anything that deals with actual physics, you understand that energy is energy. And we are energy, guys. I mean, believe it or not, we are energy. We emanate a field just like the earth does, just like the plants do, just like everything does. And what if there's something out there that can sense that energy? Yeah. What if it likes that energy? You see, that's where
it's the beacon effect. You know, you're going out there and you shine the light.
Yep.
Something's going to look back.
Yep. Or it's going to run.
How many of those accounts that we have had personally, you and I separately and together, how many of those times have something happened because we lit the beacon? Yeah, and how many of those things happened simply because they happened and we were just there?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the weird thing, because more often than not, you do get that kind of an interaction. Yeah. And you can't explain that. I mean, you cannot conventionally explain that away and say, oh, it's just coincidence. This just happens too many times, especially when you're getting on other meters like we did this past year.
Yep.
When we returned to Wandberry, which hasn't been seen yet.
Nobody's seen this. Return to Wandberry took place back in March. We recorded it all, but there's so much there that we didn't release it because we needed to have more data to pair with it to support what happened while we were there.
Yep.
And we've worked with Stan Gordon with it. We've actually collected more information. We've piled a little bit more data with it, and that is coming out this year. You guys will see it in probably the next month and a half or so, maybe a little bit longer. But you'll see it sooner than later. But there was just some weird stuff that happened, and we needed answers before we just dropped it on you guys.
Yeah, well, it didn't make a lot of, I mean, it kind of made sense for us because we had something similar to it, but then we got this and it was like, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. This is the same thing. And then, as you recall, at the same time, literally, that was about the same time that, they were talking about some of the stuff they were catching at Skinwalker Ranch. Yep. That was very, very similar to some of the readings that we were taking out there.
Yep.
It just...
And we were actually using the same exact equipment there.
Yep. And it just absolutely was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
I mean, and again, I don't really know. I just know that I think we found the glue is what I'm trying to say.
Possible.
At least the residue of the glue.
Yeah, residue of the glue.
We found the residue of the glue. That's more accurate to say.
Yeah.
The glue. We don't know what the glue is, It's not like we found it was slime.
Right. We didn't find ectoplasm.
No, we found the kind of the stuff that's left over after it melts, I think. That's kind of appropriate to say.
I think that's fitting.
Yeah, that's fitting. Anyway.
But yeah. So Bigfoot Researchers of the Year, West Virginia House Rangers Collective. Congratulations, all members. It was a group effort, and
I'd like to thank Beth particularly.
Oh, absolutely, Beth Duncan. If you're listening, you are one of the best assets that we've got in the team and in the field, and yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and anyone who watched Wandberry knows that Beth started this journey as a silhouette, pretty much. She didn't want to be shown on camera. She was terrified.
She's featured heavily, though, in Wandberry, too.
Yep, she is. And so she didn't want to be seen in the original one. She didn't even want to go in the woods. She was terrified. And now she has captured and collected more data up there than we could even imagine. So...
Yeah. And we've got some stuff that we're building and putting together, and we're going to send up that way and deploy some more equipment and technology up there that can be used.
Absolutely.
So can't wait to get that stuff out in the field. Well, the next big thing, I think, because we hit the Bigfoot topic there. We actually had 2022 was a great year for us as a whole. Not only, we mentioned that we won the research team of the year, but it was, I think, an inkling of what 2020 was supposed to have been.
Right. I think we all agree with that. Yeah.
We got to be back. We were out on the circuit where we were all scheduled to be for 2020 before everything got canned. And we actually got to go out and speak and meet a lot of you guys face to face, folks who are way outside of our listening area. We got to come and hang out with you guys and meet you face to face, shake hands with you, and hear your stories firsthand. And we got to we spoke at the Withville UFO Festival. We got to speak at the Mothman Festival. There was a couple other events over the summer that we were scheduled to speak at, but we had to withdraw for various reasons. One, the biggest one being is the birth of my second son.
Yeah. We had 4. I think there was 4 speaking engagements total, if I remember right.
Yeah.
There was the library. There was the thing in Beckley, the little one up there, and then there was, like you said, Mothman, and Withville. And
don't forget the schools.
Oh my goodness.
The school tour that we go on every year was phenomenal again this year. We got to go hang out with a bunch of little minions that we've created.
We absolutely did. And we still carry Gracie's rock with us. And
Gracie, we almost had somebody sell it. We almost had it sold, Gracie.
Yep.
In case you're out there listening, we almost had it.
So yeah.
This close.
That close. But we got a few days to go, so we might still move that rock before next year. But yeah, we had a lot of stuff. We presented at Withville, and apparently I don't know, we surprised people.
Yeah, I don't think that people were prepared for how a tandem presentation. Those things aren't done very often. Where you normally have one speaker who's up there being the orator, but we get up there and we tag team it. It's just more fun that way, and it lets you see the dynamic in action.
It's the radio show.
It is. It's the radio show. We just do a live radio show based off of theories that we got going for you.
Yeah, it's pretty much. And and then there's the slides, and you get your data there and whatnot. But we did present the related phenomenon for the first time there, and it went over very well.
It did. It was a packed crowd. There was standing room only left, and this was a big auditorium. It was over 300 people sitting in there hanging out with us. It was amazing. And the Van Hoos clan knocked it out of the park. We can't wait. We're actually speaking there again. We're speaking at the UFO Festival this year in June. You don't want to miss it.
Whole new presentation.
Whole new presentation. And I tell you what, guys, like, they put on a great show.
They really do.
Tons of great vendors come out to it. And it's really, it's a cool environment too. It's not your typical venue space.
Yeah.
It's a really neat environment. Everybody's able to it's big enough and spread out enough for people to actually come around and talk. It's not like so crammed and hustle bustle like some of the other bigger shows, because this is a bigger show, but like a lot of the other bigger shows that we go to is in a smaller area.
Yeah, there's space. It's a big room. There's a lot of space. It's very cool. It reminds you of a reptile show.
It does. It does remind you of a reptile show, the way it was laid out. Yeah, it was nice. And then we got the library that we did over the summer.
Yes, absolutely.
That was absolutely phenomenal.
Love to get back down there to these guys as soon as we can, and get it penciled in. But man, I'm telling you, I would love to get back down there. So
we got that was a lot of fun. Man, the freaking equipment was going bonkers in that joint. That's what was crazy.
That was great. That was great.
And for those of you that don't know, if you hadn't heard about that part, we did an event called Mysticon. It was at a public library. Great turnout for a small event like that. And but we took all of our equipment, and some of our equipment, including the Geiger counter, was just going bonkers at random periods of time, and it was bizarre.
Yeah.
And the Geiger counter is calibrated. It's not like it was picking up, just
we even had the
glitching on its
guy.
own. It
We
was
even had
just
the guy who
tripping out.
commented on that. The guy who commented on that, he had worked
Yeah.
around radioactive material, and he's like,
Yep.
oh, that's shouldn't be doing that. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Then the event in Beckley. The best thing that happened to that event in Beckley was meeting up with Travis.
Man,
we met the most interesting man in the world.
I think we did.
Yeah.
I think we did. Who has the most interesting shop in the world?
He does have the most interesting shop.
We've been to the most interesting shop in the world so many times now. It's not even funny. Yep. And it is fantastic. Can't
speak highly enough of the Deep End Antiques. It is just a killer store.
Yep, it really is. And we'll get to see more of that too. That'll be on some upcoming episodes as well.
Yep.
But learned a lot of cool things there, and we met so many cool people this year.
We did.
So many cool people, and so many want to work with us. It's just like, we have so much stuff going on.
We do. We really have a ton of stuff happening.
Yeah, it gets very, very hard to do all these shows that you want to do.
Yeah.
Personally, I want to do the Leveling show. I would love to do that because that's going to be a cool show. I think
it is going to be a really cool show. It's going to be tough to try to get there, but it's going to be cool.
It's going to be a cool show, and I would love to do it, but can we? I don't know yet.
That's where I'm at. Like, I don't know if we can make it.
If we can't,
it's going to be a really cool show.
Yeah. If we can't make it, count on support.
Yeah.
We will definitely be talking about it and get you on the air and let you talk about it, whatnot. But
and same thing with the that other event down in North Carolina. I can't remember the Encounter Fest, EncounterCon.
Yeah.
That. That's another going to be a great show, but I don't know if we'll be able to make it because it's just so tight with everything else. Like we've already got next year kind of planned out with speaking engagements already.
Yep. And then we have our own shows.
Yeah, then we have our own stuff that we're doing.
Let's not forget our own shows, and one of those shows next year is going to be something unlike anything anyone has ever seen in the area.
In West Virginia, we've never had anything like this.
No, we haven't.
Like Mothman is its own beast. We're not trying to compare it to that at all. Mothman Festival.
It's a sister festival. It is true sister festival.
This is a true sister festival, is what it's going to be. You're exactly right.
That's exactly what it's going to be at, because we're not going up against anyone. We're going to work with everyone.
Yep.
And that's what's going to make it.
We can't wait for that. We can't wait to start announcing the guests, because we've got an amazing lineup coming for the Flatwoods Monster Convention, guys.
Yeah, it's going to be
brace yourselves.
Pretty epic. I was blown away by how fast the group itself's been growing over there, and everybody's just waiting. They're waiting for us to open the doors.
Chomping at the bit, man. We're going to be if you're listening and you guys are wanting to be vendors or come, by the time this show airs, all of that information is going to be over on the website.
It should be up.
So I'm going to work on that probably tomorrow night. I'll get that all plugged in, and applications will be live for vendors. And we're going to have links for you guys to follow for attendees. If you want to stay the night at the conference center, we're going to have links to their addresses. That way you can go and get your room.
I know some people have already booked the rooms.
Yeah, there's over 20 rooms already booked.
It's that big, and it's a monstrous location, by the way.
Yep.
So if you don't know, definitely I'll be linking up. I'll link up some info in the bottom.
There are 1,600 parking spaces available.
Yeah, it's a big place. And then before that, we've got the return of Wild and Weird Con.
Yep.
And it's coming to Charleston. So another big one.
And we've got meetings over the next 2 weeks to finalize and lock in the venue. And then after that, we will make the official announcement. We've already got 2 speakers lined up for Wild and Weird Con. Can't wait to announce those, because those are going to be a blast. You're going to love those.
Yeah.
And of course, all of the vendors that you're used to seeing, you're going to see them again.
Yep. And more.
And more, because we're going to have more space.
Yep. And let's not forget The one that we really hit it out of the park with the very, very,
Oh,
very first show.
Wood
Yes,
Booger
Wood Booger
Jamboree.
Jamboree is coming back, and I can hear the banjos right now, and in a
Yep.
good way.
Yeah. Speaking of banjos in a good way, we have a couple bluegrass bands who are going to come down, and they're wanting to just set up under the
Just
canopy
play.
areas and just play through the day for you guys.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so they're going to be acoustic. We're not going to have to
Yep.
fight with the electric like we did last year.
Which is exactly how it should go. If they want to bring something, they can.
Yep.
But yeah, absolutely. So I'm all for it. It's kind of like what they do up here at the Capitol with the One Festival. Where they have
Yeah.
everybody to show up and play. And what that's called? I went up there one. It was
I can't
so
remember either,
much
but I know
fun
which one you're
though.
talking about. But
Yeah, it's
anybody who
great.
missed Wood Booger last year, we had over 1,000 people descend on this park and had a blast. They all had a
So
great
much fun.
time. We had a ton of kids there. There was just stuff for everybody to enjoy,
Yep.
and we had food trucks. Everybody had a blast.
The vendors knocked it out of the park.
They did.
So, but yeah, it was a great time. So all kinds of fun stuff like that. We've got workshops coming up this year.
Yep.
So,
Workshops coming up. The next Bigfoot workshop, actually talked to him today because Kelly and I went out. We did our first day hike today, and we went out. And we also, in the process of that, we did a post forest fire burn survey while I was up there, and yeah. So anyway, we'd already talked about getting some potential dates lined out, and we're going to be announcing those soon as well for the Bigfoot workshops.
Yep.
And we've got paranormal workshops getting lined up already, and we just can't wait. Can't wait to get
There's a
get
lot
you
of
guys
stuff.
out there.
A lot of stuff. So that's what we do, and that's what's so fun. And again, special thanks to everyone who supported us. And by support, I don't mean sending dollars to Patreons. We don't do that.
We're talking about high fives, big bear hugs,
Yeah,
coming out and listening to the show week in, week out, hitting the buttons.
Yeah, share the content. Share the content. Like it, share it, subscribe to it. That's how you support us. If you want something, then every now and again we'll throw something up on Etsy. You can go over there and buy something. You can go over to one of the T-shirt pages, buy one of the T-shirts. Help pay for another tool to make more stuff. It's pretty much what happens. I mean, that's how it works with this stuff. But yeah, it's been a great year. So back to some of the more incredible things that happened this year. What would you think the most significant thing on our end, I would say, happened this year? What do you think that would be?
It's a toss up. It's equal. And what's funny, we'll get into that bit, the funny bit here in a minute, but I think in my mind these two are equal. It was the actual speaking at the Mothman Festival. That was huge. That was monumental. And the second one that's right there neck and neck right with it is the thermal capture.
Yep. Those are my two.
Yep. Those are the biggest things, I think. And then the fact that when we went, as soon as we made it through the doors at CryptidCon, there were people just waiting at the vendor hall, waiting for us. Like, these were speakers, not just like these were people who were there to speak at CryptidCon, who were waiting for us to get there to be like, hey, come here. We got to talk.
Yeah.
And that was great. Always seeing, seeing those guys are great anyway, but actually them wanting to talk about some of the research we've been conducting and what they've been looking at. They're, that was top cake, like icing on the cake.
It's data sharing, man.
Yeah.
It's data sharing. It's validation and data sharing. And that's, we do that. We talked about that before. We make sure that, the stuff's good before we release it to the public. So, And what was great about that thermal footage is in the house, we had 5 people there who knew what they were looking at.
Yeah.
5, 6, more than that, and that was easy to just pretty much go out the next day and put it up because it was significant. And, I don't think we realized how significant it was until after everyone had weighed in on what they thought. But it still remains, in my opinion, it is the best video evidence that we have ever captured to this point.
Oh, absolutely.
So, And it
Absolutely.
may be some of the best that's ever been captured in West Virginia, as far as I know.
It's the only real footage that's been captured in West Virginia, if anything that I'm aware of. Well, I'll take that back. No, the snowshoe footage.
Yeah.
The snowshoe footage is really freaking good.
Yeah.
And then so I think honestly in my tier, it's like snowshoe footage and that's like right here. And the only reason the difference is the snowshoe footage is in color.
Yeah.
It's daylight, you know. The snowshoe's just a hair above it just because it's daylight. But yeah, it just is equally important to the data pool, and it's huge. It's some of the biggest video that's come out on the East Coast, not just West Virginia, but at the East Coast. It's comparable to the Stacey Brown footage.
Well, let's not forget, we also caught UAP activity.
We did get UAP activity.
And we caught UAP activity in other areas that absolutely mimicked what we caught there.
That matched. It paralleled it.
And
we could go out right now and probably catch the same thing.
Probably. No one really wants to comment on that. I mean, the best we can get is Ben Hansen telling us that it could be birds. But I agree with him. That's my first thought. You know that. I mean,
well, yeah, but man, if it was birds, those are like mock Jesus birds.
They, yeah. So we would also sell those birds, but that's the other part. And again, even Ben said, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, someone is looking at this saying 100% this is birds. It's someone saying it could be, because again, you have to be skeptical with these things.
You do. You have to be skeptical. Like we said earlier, every good researcher worth their salt is going to say, let me examine this deeper. And that's what we did. Ron actually sent the original file to Ben and let him take a deeper dive into it.
I'll let Stan see that at first. Yeah. And,
Stan saw it before Ben ever saw it.
Stan confirmed to me that it's something. And, when it was really funny because I was birds. I mean, team birds from start, man. Even when you guys were like trying to recreate it, I'm like, that's birds. I sent it off to these people, let them look at it. And I'm thinking they're going to come back to me and tell me it's birds. Not a one of them came back and told me it was birds. They were like, I don't know what that is, but it ain't birds. I'm like, even the most skeptical among them, Patrick Bailey, the most skeptical among us all, looked at it and said, well, it's not birds.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pat. I was really hoping you guys would solve this one. But anyway, so that was a really good footage, and that was significant thing this year, I think. But I'm with you, Mothman, the speaking head Mothman. That was a phenomenal thing, and so many thanks to Jeff and the family for letting us come in there and do that.
Yeah, Jeff and Julie, we appreciate you guys so much.
Man,
that was huge.
Yeah, that was very huge.
Again. Okay, it's time to get the predictions in. We've been rambling.
Oh wait,
for a while.
Predictions. Hang on.
Oh. There we go.
Let's do it the right way if we're going to do predictions. Azul, shall you tell us the predictions? Yes, this is Azul. It has this name now. She finally has her name. It means blue. Yeah, that's right. It means blue. Nothing evil, people. It's just a crystal skull.
Not Azul. Azul.
No, Azul. That's very different. So, yes, blue. Anyway.
Like the agave you make tequila with.
You got it, right? Did you get it? You did, right? It's clear, that's my favorite. Okay, anyway. All right. It'll look gold, Yeah. Anyway. So Azul is going to help us predict the future.
All right.
Go. All right. So Azul, okay, yeah. All right. That works.
Here we go.
Okay, who you got?
We're together. We've got Bog the Boglin.
Okay.
Boggy.
Well, let's see who predicts the future the best.
Okay.
Right. Well, Azul says that, and I agree with her, there's going to be a major UFO event this year.
Boggy agrees.
Yeah, see? So,
major I'm going to predict there's going to be a major UFO event, though, within the next 4 months.
What? 3.
3? You think 3?
3 months. Okay. 3 months.
March is always hot, so you could be on it.
Yeah, it's going to come in the form of a new announcement. And it's going to be all over the Black Vault first, and it will be all over the web. And it's going to make people, for the first day, say things like, "Wow, can you believe it?" And then they'll just forget.
Now, is Black Vault on it, or are they on it?
They're pretty on it, man.
Those guys, man,
they've always
been on it. It's wild.
Mm-hmm. They've always been on it. Yeah.
Predictions. I think that we're going to get more acceptance of the really, really, really freaking weird stuff.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely agreed.
Yeah. Because it's the wave's already started.
Well, I mean, I'm holding a crystal skull.
That's true. That's true.
Of course, the waves started, but no, you're absolutely right. Anyway, but yeah, the wave has started, and I think you're absolutely right. We saw that, and I got to give credit where credit's due. Let's give credit to Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker Ranch, absolutely.
Yeah, let's give credit to them, because that's what really opened it up, and a lot of these amateur teams saw what they were doing, and were like, "Hey." The funny thing is, we were kind of coming up with the same kind of stuff before.
Well,
they aired.
You know, another person who's really pushing it and has been pushing it for the last year and a half is Renee Holland.
Yeah, that's right.
Renee's actually supposed to be coming on the show with us. We had to do a schedule conflict with her over the summer, and we rescheduled, and we're going to get her on again soon. But you know, she's a scientist as well. And in the Finding Bigfoot show, she was the skeptical. Boggy just jumped off the shelf.
I heard that.
So she's the skeptical science on Finding Bigfoot. But when you hear her explain why she's the skeptical scientist, it is not because she doesn't believe that there is a Bigfoot-like creature out there. She just doesn't believe it's an ape. Mm-hmm. And she goes on to explain all these different theories she has about it, and giving references and scientific data that goes along with her theory. And we're seeing, she's a mainstream scientist. You know what I mean? Just like Travis Taylor, mainstream scientist. And their thoughts about all this stuff are converging.
Right. We are seeing more mainstream scientists easily now, rather than swimming upstream like they used to have to, you know, because someone might pull their grants or et cetera. Now it's like, well, okay, I'm going to talk.
Well, you've got the government funding a lot of this stuff now.
Yeah, that's true.
So now they're giving grants. They're literally, if anybody's missed the show over the last year, you can now apply for grants. They opened it up 2 months ago. Back in it was the tail end of October. They opened it up that people, research groups, scientific research groups, could put in for grants to study UAP and related phenomena.
Because they need to know what is actually going on, and how basically there's a curriculum there, man. I mean, you're going to get that. I think that's the next thing you will see. You're going to see things like that. You're going to see a real serious accredited study in some of these phenomena.
And it's going to be at the Ivy League schools. And I'm going to bet right now it's going to be the same Ivy League schools that we've talked about before, who have the parapsychology systems.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that you're just going to see that. It's inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
As far as let's see, cryptids go. What's your prediction for Bigfoot in 2023? Big news in Bigfoot land.
Well, we've had the DNA survey, the eDNA come back that showed like a bunch of weird hits in it, right? That was out of Kentucky. That came out back in March, publicly released in March. The guys from the Expedition Bigfoot TV show were the ones that got the data. That was huge, and that moved a lot of people. That got, when I say a lot, I mean like a handful. It moved a handful of scientists into being like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why is that there? And so that's starting to get a lot more eyes on it secretly. There are groups like Project Zoo Book that Amy Boo runs that is compiled of leaders in their field, that are professionals and very well educated that have an interest in Bigfoot, but they won't publicly say anything about it. But they're trying to get grant money to do certain things. You know, these different individuals are trying to pull off some pretty big tasks, and that's across the board. That's not just with that. You know, that's not anything really related with Project Zubik, but that's like just people in general within the community who have a secret, hidden interest in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the UFO topic is not so taboo, you've got them looking at the Bigfoot possibility, and there was even the government inkling that they're even looking more into it because they're looking at the related phenomena with UFOs and Bigfoot. That was actually a quote from a article that was released back in, I think, July or August. So with that said, I think we're going to see some more advancement in that field. I'm not sure how much. Like, honest to God, it's one of those things where, like, I kind of dread it. Certain things, because I do like the Enigma and I enjoy the Enigma. I'm not sure how I feel about where things were, where things are going. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's one of the reasons why I became a certified master naturalist. So that way, if something did get discovered, it couldn't get ripped away.
Well, that's the whole point. And that's kind of where we're seeing it go. Even with Luis Elizondo earlier, when he said, you know, current ufology must die. What he's basically saying in that quote is that they have their own agenda. They, meaning his research group, his study, the government, they want to come in and take all the data pretty much and claim it as their own. And anyone else is just a complete pseudoscientist. But, you know, there's a lot of those these days. But I got to tell you, pseudoscientists out there, you're doing more work than a lot of these scientists, in my opinion.
They are.
You know, you're doing a lot more work. You're asking the hard questions. They may be unpopular opinions, but you're making people think. And honestly, I don't think that Lou Elizondo has all the answers. I mean, he's got some answers. Don't get me wrong. They've got answers. They got a lot of answers.
They got a lot of answers. They got a lot of proprietary goods too.
They don't have it all. And, you know, if they're going to do that, then they need to share. That's my point.
Agreed.
Because you can bet if we figure out what's going on, we would be sharing that.
Yep.
Unless someone knocks on the door and says, don't say anything, and they give us a really good, you know, national security reason, we're going to say something.
I.e. money.
That's when I say that's the national security reason.
Yeah.
Yes. That's how it works. Anyone.
It is, just in case you're curious.
Yeah.
Because we know you're listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Agent Johnstone, Happy New Year.
Yeah, that's kind of, I see things going in a weird different way, and I don't know how much of it's going to advance in this year as much as it's just going to be over the next 5 years.
Yeah. Well, you know, another terrible prediction, AI. We saw it. We saw it.
We predicted it last year, 2 years ago, really, but like we really dug our teeth into it and almost called it play by play last year.
Go back and watch the episode, and you're going to see by the time that we made that episode, what was being produced at that time versus what's being produced now. And that's only about a year, if you think about that. And in 1 year's time, you know, right now we're down to master in hands, just to let you all know, because it's pretty much got the eyes. I saw one the other day. The eyes were very, very good.
The eyes are looking really good. Teeth and hands, man.
It's coming.
I'm telling you, the only reason, this is God's honest truth, this is why I think it screws up hands. It knows how fast we can type, and it's trying to rationalize these people can type this many words per minute.
Maybe
they must have 6 or 8 fingers on their hands to be able to do this.
I mean, it's possible, man. It's really possible because you are dealing with something that's kind of thinking here.
Yeah.
But, and I know a lot of people are just, oh, you're crazy. They're not thinking. That's it. You know, they don't know any more than what the programmers tell them. No, that's not the definition of artificial intelligence.
No, it's not
actually. So, you know, that's not how that works. You're talking about a program. These have moved beyond a simple program. But I think that we are going to see a very, very, very good example of a deep fake. That's what I think. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard to figure out if that's the real deal or not. And I don't know where that's going to come from. I don't know if it's going to be in our world, as in the cryptid and paranormal world, or if that's going to be in the real world. If it's in the real world, then buckle up, Buttercup, because
I think it's going to be in the real world first.
You really need to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Question everything. That's my advice to everyone out there. Question everything. If you see it, doesn't mean it's real. If you see it with your own eyes, possibly, but if you see it on TV, question it. There are people who want things to go a certain way, and now they're going to have the means to make it go any way they want. They can make you see anything. That's not conspiracy theory. That's just common sense at this point. Because humans are bad. Sorry. You're all bad.
Yep. You're not wrong.
That's what Azul says. Azul says you're all bad.
Then, so predictions for, let's see, cryptozoology in general.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Because I know what I think.
I think that cryptozoology is going to have to evolve this year. That's what I think. And I don't think that it's a matter of, it's not a matter of them wanting to do this as much as it's going to be a matter of them going to have to do this. They're going to have to coexist and evolve to accept these other theories, because it's coming like a wave.
Yep.
There are very uncomfortable truths that are coming, and it is going to affect cryptozoology, parapsychology, all of it. And everyone's going to have to start turning to each other and actually sharing data and talking, because if not, I'm afraid, there are other groups that are going to pretty much just completely steamroll us. And I mentioned that earlier, as in, i.e., Luis and the merry band of misfits over there who have suddenly taken control of the phenomena. So cryptozoology in general, it's going to have to open up a little bit more. And I think that's going to happen this year. I really do. At least I hope it does.
Cryptozoology for many, many moons was defined as the search for living creatures that were either believed to be extinct, or based in mythology, and they were trying to find what they were based on, or if they were even real.
Yeah, like a gorilla.
Yeah, the gorilla at one point. The panda was another.
Crested gecko. There you go.
Crested gecko. We got a ton of those in the basement.
Same thing. Yeah.
But that cryptozoology, of course, is facing currently this dilemma, particularly the internet and pop culture. Cryptozoology is trendy in pop culture.
Yep.
That means, the little things that we make, everybody eats them up, loves them. Great. We love it. But cryptozoology as a whole, the actual study, the boots on the ground research stuff, is all but dead, in my opinion. And I know that, there are some people who are listening right now who are like clutching, because while Bigfoot is technically researching Bigfoot is technically like cryptozoology, it's its own entity altogether.
You're talking about real cryptozoology.
Yeah.
You're talking about naturalists going out into the field and trying to document the Tasmanian tigers. And I got you. Yeah. Yeah, you're quite right, actually. Yeah.
Nobody's doing that. There's a handful of us that are actually doing that anymore.
Yeah.
That are actually real naturalists going out doing the thing. The majority of it is folks online. And they're analysts. They're data analysts. But they're looking at stuff that's not even real. Stuff that they don't know they don't know firsthand. Is this a reliable source? Is this a reliable video? And they're looking at that, and they form opinions and facts, and they write up these big lengthy articles, and they write up books even that are based on something that they've never been on the pursuit for.
Yeah.
Lauren Coleman did the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He went out, he traveled the world. He looked for these creatures. Expeditions. Ken Gerhard does the thing.
Yep.
He goes out, goes on expeditions, he does the boots on the ground stuff. But outside of the Bigfoot community, how many people are actually going out looking for something else other than Bigfoot?
Right.
You know, you've got Joe and Jesse who are going out looking for, this dogman phenomena.
Yeah.
And other related phenomena.
Yeah, exactly.
But is that really cryptozoology? Is that looking for a living creature, or is that looking for something entirely different?
That's a good point. Yeah.
It goes like, I think there's a big, the argument that I've made for a lot of different things this year is the lexicon's broken and it needs to change.
Right. There needs to be new words for all.
We need recompartmentalization of some of these topics. At least for
cryptids.
For the study of these things.
At least for cryptids, because we have seen this. We've seen this massive discussion of what is a actual cryptid.
Right.
I mean, we've even talked about that multiple times, And
creepypasta is not it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's not cryptids, Not deer is not a cryptid,
No.
Slender Man, not a cryptid, all that stuff, not a cryptid. Those are pop culture things. Dogman, okay. If it's an actual dogman, and it's like a canid / hybrid of some sort, and it's not turning into dust and vapor and materializing behind you to devour you, sure, it's cryptid. But if it's doing those other things, it's not cryptid.
Right.
It's something completely different.
It's something supernatural. But for whatever reason, they still get classified into the cryptozoology.
Because there isn't a better word.
Yeah, there's no other department. There's no compartment that it could belong to. So I believe that cryptozoology as a whole is, at least this year, somebody somewhere, I mean, we've done it all already, but no one's going to pay attention to us. I don't know. They might now that we're Bigfoot Researchers of the Year.
Nah, it means nothing.
But there needs to be some compartmentalization, restructuring within general cryptozoology. What is cryptozoology? Are you going on expeditions? Are you actually going out looking for species, new to discovery or mythology?
Or are you just looking at stories and compartmentalizing stories and writing books based on stories, right? Is that what you're trying to get at? Or like writing up articles based on stories? Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's my prediction. It's got to change, or else it's just going to be categorized as like some kind of fan fiction niche category. Well, worse than what it already is.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say more than likely that, AI will probably write that story.
Well, probably. Oh, yeah. Yep. You're dead on. You got it.
And I'm not kidding. I'm telling you, that's going to be the next thing.
Yeah.
You can see it coming. So, folks, what we're trying to tell you is, get your stuff together because there's a war against the machines coming. That's not what's coming.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, that's it. Actually, we see some pretty good stuff actually coming. So that's it's going to be an exciting year, I'm sure.
I can't wait. I really is gloom and doom is that last little bit of mine. I guess could have been interpreted. I'm super stoked to see what happens this year because we've got a lot on our plate. Oh, I know a lot of our friends have a lot on their plate, and I absolutely cannot wait to see what they turn out.
Yep. Can't say any more than that, but
because everything that you've seen and known from all of us from the previous years is just going another step up.
Yep.
From what they're doing over at Hellbent Holler and everything they've got going on over there to what we've got going on.
More than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. It's what you're going to see next year is going to be insane.
Yep. Absolutely agree. And, there's going to be some really cool things coming down the pipe, and I can't wait to get started with it. I know we've got some new announcements we'll be making soon, but as per such, the one announcement that we will make is that episode 1 of Wild and Weird Investigations dropped. Finally.
Yeah.
And
it dropped on Saturday, wasn't it?
I don't remember when.
Or Friday. Friday. No, it's Friday.
I just remember I was really sick, but I wanted to make sure that got out. So
yeah, it was Friday morning, and man, oh man, the reception has been phenomenal.
Yeah. So these are going to be little short documentaries. They're going to be things that they're not going to be hours long. They're going to be like just 15, 20-minute long little mini docs, some shorter than that, and of what we've done. and they'll just be, dropped here and there occasionally. So you definitely want to stay, hit that notification bell so you know when they drop.
Yep.
They're going to be really informational. Let's put it that way, because I can tell you that you're going to see footage in there that has not been released yet. I know we've talked about the thermal footage multiple times that we've got, the UAP footage, all that. The actual on the ground investigation of, trying to recreate it and going in there, that's going to be a part of this series. You'll get to see that. There's some stuff, I think, from the deep end that has never been seen. So yeah, it's going to be all kinds of really cool stuff, and just keep watching, because it's going to be a really cool year for us. I think we're going to have some fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've already got speaking engagements lined up as well for different shows. So if that schedule's filling up, so if you're listening and you are a promoter and you need a speaker or want us to speak at your show, get a hold of us soon, so that way we can get you penciled in. But other than that, guys, if you are just our normal family that hangs out with us week in, week out, thank you.
Yeah. So where's your prediction for Wild and Weird Radio?
Oh, well,
2023. What are you thinking?
I have to lean on our buddy Turtle Man for that one.
Yeah.
And just live action, baby. Yee.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that sums it up.
I think so, man.
I think live action. Yeah, man.
Live action, baby. We're coming to you in a very, very probably shortly after this episode.
Yeah.
You hear this, brace yourself.
Yeah. So get ready is what we're trying to.
That's what we need to call it. Wild and Weird live action.
Live action. Wild and Weird. But yeah, it's that's funny. But yeah, so we are going to have the radio live, and it's going to be pretty cool. So guys, if you are listening, you're definitely going to want to stay tuned to that, because it's going to get extremely wild and weird, because you're going to be able to talk to us in real time. Sure, you can heckle us all you want, but just be prepared. We'll probably heckle you right back. I mean, we are professionals, but
that is going to be separate from the regular radio show.
Yeah, it is.
This is going to be an additional program that we're going to be putting on for you guys to hang out with us, and we can't wait. We're so excited to do it. We've got the means and everything sorted now. You guys who've been with us long enough to know that we set on things until we know 100% we're ready to rock and roll with it, and we're ready to rock and roll, and we're bringing live shows to you. So make sure you hit that notification bell, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it.
You're going to need it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's true, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that's dropping. You're going to be like, where'd that come from? Yeah,
like special news alerts. Anytime something really big announcement happens, we're just going to go live with it.
Yep. So definitely, be a part of that, because it's going to get pretty freaking crazy out there. Hey, I'll tell you guys a little something real quick. I got seriously addicted to VR. Like seriously addicted to VR. Got me one of these things for Christmas, and man, the world in here is completely different. So, hey, will Wild and Weird ever be in virtual reality?
It's a possibility.
I'm just saying. Just watch.
It's a possibility.
I'm just saying. There are things I am experimenting with.
Yeah.
And stay tuned.
It's coming, guys.
Stay tuned.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us for our year in review. We cannot wait to go forward with this year with you guys, arm in arm, going after it. Tell all your friends about it, and make sure that everybody in your town is listening to Wild and Weird Radio, that they're subscribed.
Or on your planet. Right. And if they have any ideas for shows, send those in too, right?
Yeah, get a hold of us, because again, we're going live soon, y'all. We're going to need some folks to jump on with us and have a good old time. So, Happy New Year, everybody. You all survived Krampusnacht. You've all survived Christmas, and now New Year's. So we're all going forward. We cannot wait to see what this year has in store. And remember, the West Virginia House Rangers Collective is the 2022-2021 winner of the Bigfoot Researcher Contest of the Year. Right here, baby. Stay wild and weird, y'all.